A few days ago, I saw what felt like my 50th horror movie of 2025. It's more of a thriller. It's called Shelby Oaks. I put out a review. It was not glowing. I did not think it was very good. Didn't think it was awful. Just kind of boring and generic, and unfortunately needed a lot more time in the script department. But today's a new day, and now I go through the movie front to back and regale you with the story of Shelby Oaks to the best of my ability. And it's always a fun journey we go on together as I trip over my own thoughts, trying to recall what I just watched. Let's talk Shelby Oaks in a spoiler review. Let me just give you a quick synop of the film. Synop, short for synopsis. Shelby Oaks is about 30% found footage, 70% not that. The main protagonist here is Mia on the search for her sister who's been missing for over a decade. And we're going to be following her as she traipses around the abandoned town of Shelby Oaks in the middle of the night by herself because she's an idiot. But before I get into all the grisly details, if you wouldn't mind Shelby choking the subscribe button on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcast, I would appreciate it. I post movie reviews, commentary, live streams almost every week, all films all the time. Let's get into this. As I stated, we're going to fire up with found footage stuff for about 25-30% of the movie. It's focusing on the Paranormal Paranoids, bad name, run by 4 different teens, one of which is Riley, who's going to be the focus of this flick. The channel saw mild success, which is better than I can say about mine, until these poor souls end up missing for several weeks and people realize this isn't some sort of a stunt thing. They truly are gone. And the reason people were weary at first is because the Paranormal Paranoids study haunted houses. They go into seedy, dark places trying to unearth the lost souls and spirits roaming the halls. But unlike the other 3 yahoos, Riley seemed to have more of a connection to whatever supernatural shit is going on. And we will learn as this movie progresses that that would stem all the way back to when she was a youngling. She would get these visions, these visitors that would show up and scare her, often accompanied by a window getting a little bit more cracked. Why? It's unclear. Art, I suppose. When we're not bearing witness to low-resolution YouTube videos that look like they were shot about a decade sooner than this movie's supposed to take place, we get some very pretty 4K high-resolution shots of people talking right to the camera, specifically Mia. She's still not over the fact that her sister's been missing for about 12 years, and she believes she's out there somewhere, ready to be found. Thankfully, Mia's not alone, as she has a shoulder to cry on with her husband, who is basically not in this film, and I don't even know why he exists to begin with. I suppose it's so that they can allude to the fact that they wanted to have kids a couple years ago, but were unsuccessful. It's kind of like half-assedly thrown into play. We don't really get much information on it. Shelby Oaks itself, this dead town, which I'll address further later, feels like a great opportunity to dive into. You have a once thriving town completely abandoned, now haunted essentially. Why is this? Unclear. I mean, it's addressed in a half-ass way later, like everything else in the film, but it is a cool premise that we really could have dove into, such as this abandoned fairground that apparently Riley and her sister have an attachment to that they bring up and don't do anything with, or just giving us more time on location. We only really get 3 or 4 shots of some condemned buildings, and that's it. There's some great atmosphere there. Would have loved to see a bulk of the film take place in, the title of the movie. Instead, Mia's just going to be relegated to going around an abandoned prison and this old little cottage in the woods. But again, the found footage aspect takes so long to just introduce the Paranormal Paranoids, talk about some of the mysteries about what could have possibly happened to them, all for most of that to go really nowhere at all. Like, why did we waste any time on the whole fairground carnival shit at all? It's useless. After the long-ass intro, we finally get a title sequence, which starts with Keith David, who has seriously 2 minutes max on screen. He's the first name that shows up. He's cashing a check and leaving. Good for him, but not so much the audience, because he really classes it up for the couple minutes that he's there, but then blink and he's gone before you know it. Hell, even the reason he's in the movie is a massive stretch when we get to that point, because what's going to happen next is Mia's going to be done doing her little interview for the documentary. She's going to get a rapping at her front door, open it to find a gentleman outside who shoots himself in the head, falls to the ground, holding a tape that says Shelby Oaks. Now, any rational person would see that tape on the ground and go, okay, the cops should probably take a look at this, especially when one of the main law enforcement agents seems really hell-bent on finding these kids still. But Mia's gonna decide, in her infinite wisdom, to take the tape for herself. And I can kind of get into her mindset, I suppose. My sister's been missing for over a decade. There's been no real major breakthroughs. I might as well take the law into my own hands. Maybe you could do both, though. Maybe you take the tape, you make a recording, and then you give it to the cops. But no, instead she's gonna take the tape, wait until night falls, and watch it alone in the family room, still covered in the blood of the guy who shot himself in the head. You have actual brain matter on your face. You don't think to run some water over that? You don't think to hop into the shower for a quick 5? It really makes no sense no matter how you dice it. There's no scenario I can paint myself where a person gets blood spackled onto their face and then they just say, I'll sit around for about 5 hours until it gets dark and then I'll pop this tape in and watch. I said this in my regular review, but there is no time is of the essence scenario playing out here. There's no rush for her to crack this code open and get to the bottom of her sister's whereabouts. It's been like 12 years. Nothing is pushing her to make irrational decisions, but we are going to find her doing this over and over again, making the dumbest choices imaginable. Anyway, she watches this tape. She's going, oh my lucky stars. And she's seeing the shaky footage. She's probably scared because of how awful the camera work is on this. But there's going to come a point where she sees her sister Riley at a cabin with the other 3 numbskulls. They all get absolutely bodied. I think there was a decapitation there at one point. Again, it's hard to know. The camera was just all over the place. It was nighttime. Decapitation, short for decapitation. Should have been clear on that. And this leads to the, I think, biggest scare in the movie. One that we've seen a million times over, but I enjoy it. It's effective. We just saw it actually in The Conjuring Last Rites. She's watching the movie, the tape ends, the TV goes black, and boom, you see the eyes from outside staring in at her. Now, if this was me, I'd be going, nice try, Diddy, and I go out and I bust shop. For Mia, though, well, to her credit, she kind of does the same thing. She grabs her bat, she runs outside, and she looks around for whoever's spying. Again, there is a husband in the house she could be sharing this information with. She opts not to. Why she didn't show her husband the tape, it's unclear. Maybe she thought he would rat her out, at which point I would say, what kind of shit relationship are you in, lady? But we do find out a little later it's not a healthy one, as he does call her crazy and says she needs help when she confronts him with the concept that, all right, listen, that guy that killed himself out front the other day, I believe he's the one responsible, and somehow everything associated with this guy dies, including the town of Shelby, including the prison that he went to, because if you trace back when he was born, Shelby Oaks as a town started to fall to pieces. If we look at the time he spent at prison, that's when shit hit the fan too, including a massacre that took the lives of, I think, 18 people. Don't quote me on that, that might be way off. The bottom line is this: Mulder might have some competition when it comes to insane conspiracy theories revolving around X-Files, because Mia, prompted by virtually nothing, comes up with this cockamamie idea. This was confirmed by a lovely 2-minute conversation with Keith David, who was the warden of the prison when it was open. She did reassure him that the guy that caused all that trouble in the prison did kill himself. He's like, he's dead for sure. He's dead. She's like, yep. Okay, good. Sometimes dead is better. We will find out the reason this troubled soul took his own life is because he was under the spell of this demonic incubus. The term incubus is thrown out a few times in the movie, and I, being a man of high refined dignity and class, I of course was thinking of Science, Make Yourself, Fungus Among Us, Morning View, all the albums, but by the band Incubus. Now, I'm going to be very transparent, very Billy Crystal clear with you. None of this information is known until the final, 10 minutes of the film, and it is done rapid fire fast in the most ridiculously convenient way possible. So much so that when the film was over, I had to chat with my buddy a little bit because we both left very perplexed. What the fuck just happened? Why did it happen? and we're sharing kind of our internal notes. And even after the fact, while recording this video, I had to Google a lot of the information because I still wasn't very sure as to what the fuck happened. And typically I do not know. I never do that when it comes to these recap videos. I usually have a good understanding of the layout of the film and the plot and the way that it all unfolds. But because this is so all over the place and herky-jerky, I just could not get a lay of the land. Let's get into the irrationality of it though, because that's really going to take center stage now that she kind of has an idea of where to go. With time, I suppose, against her, not clear as to why it would be, she heads out in the middle of the fucking night, pitch dark outside, to Shelby Oaks with nothing more than a flashlight and a can-do attitude, and heads to the prison of all places because she thinks she's going to find clues there which will lead her to her sister. And you know what? She does. There's an evil symbol on the wall that matches a symbol on a tree that she remembered in a found footage video with Riley. After feeling a chill in the air, quite literally, as she can see her own breath, she falls backwards out of the cell, looks into the black void before a demon dog shows up. Hey, follow me. But before it can, some CG monster tentacle arm pulls it away. I don't know what the hell that was, and it never really gets revisited. I suppose that's supposed to be the evil incubus demon creature that we see one more time at the end. She takes off like a bat out of hell from that prison and into the woods, as one does, where she will see another demon dog. Follow me this way, come on! She follows Scooby-Dooby Don't to a cabin in the woods that's the same exact one she saw on that crappy found footage, and she knows this is the place. All right, she got there. Now maybe would be a good time to call the cops. Now would maybe be a good time to wait for some backup because she didn't bring her husband and apparently she doesn't have a single fucking friend that could be around to help her with this situation. Instead, she's just gonna go knock on the door, head inside, and have the most boring, odd conversation I've ever seen with a lady that looks like she's dead already. Eventually, Mia's gonna take this woman up on her generous offer of crackers. The lady slowly penguins into the other room, giving our protagonist ample time to check out the location. And she does not have to look far, as right in the next room, she finds a scrapbook with literally the entire plot of the movie caught on celluloid, which includes a bizarre wedding ceremony, a nice little photo shoot at a cemetery of her dead children that this guy was constantly sexually assaulting her for. Now, Mia's a very confident woman. If I opened a scrapbook and saw my sister in there, I don't need to keep flipping the pages before I go choke a bitch, before I take a 2x4 and smack this woman over the head. She instead continues to page through it all. It's a real barn burner for her. She can't put it down. Oh, on this page it looks like they're doing some sort of a blood ritual. That's nice. I sure hope this lady doesn't show up behind. Ah! To the woman's credit, she's very forthcoming. She pulls up the rug that contains a trap door that they both go down inside, where Mia finds her poor sister in a cell down below. Mia's about to save her though, when suddenly this monster of a man shows up. He's got those glowing eyes, so you know he's probably not there to help him out of the house. No, instead they take him up to the attic where they can finish performing whatever bullshit ritual they're doing, which I believe is some sort of a Ghostbusters 2 Vigo scenario where they're transferring the demon into the baby's body. Think Omen, think, you know, everything else. After Stranger Thingsing Mia off the ground, levitating her for a few seconds, then dropping her, the scene's pretty much done. Mia gets to leave with her sister Riley and the newborn baby. They're deciding to keep it. And I believe the incubus lady dies after finishing the ritual off. I honestly can't remember how she died, just keeled over or something. But the joke's really on them. Because you see, the master plan the entire time was for Mia to raise the demon baby and make sure it grows to full power or something, I guess. Mia does say at one point, like way late in the game, that she was also visited by the demon creature one time when she was a kid, when she slept in the same room as Riley. Honestly, I don't know. I don't know the end game here. It's still very confusing to me, even after looking it up. And the final moments of this movie are kind of comical, I'm not gonna lie to you. Riley kills herself by jumping out the window where 3 demon dogs rip her to pieces. Mia's like, oh no, my sister that I wasted so much time caring about, and then she just died unceremoniously for no reason. And now she's got the baby that she couldn't have for a couple years, even though they tried, I suppose, although I'm not sure her husband could even get it up. Maybe that's the problem. Big demon daddy over here, he had no problems. I can tell you that right now. That's it. They're one big happy family, the Father, the Mother, and the Holy Spirit. And holy shit, this was a confusing one to watch and get through. Now, it's possible I got this completely wrong. It's possible I also don't really care because I did not have a good time watching the movie. A story should be at least somewhat laid out in a way that makes sense and can make me enjoy things as they're revealed. This was just not a satisfying way to lay out a story. The structure is completely wrong. Again, visually it looked very nice when it wasn't doing the terrible found footage stuff. The actresses do a great job. They're just given some kind of poor material to work with. Overall, this is just a miss for me. But there you have it. Let me know if you got hit in a different way, if you experienced things much better with Shelby Oaks, or if you also found yourself unimpressed and underwhelmed. Let me know. Leave a comment below. Please, again, think of subbing to the show Adam Does Movies on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. And hopefully, I see you next time. Take care. You know what I just realized? Mia doesn't need a man because she's what we in Hollywood call a strong female lead. And for a supernatural psychological thriller, quite frankly, it's about time. Oh, wow, you're still here. Well, since I have you, maybe think about jumping by the old merch store, Adam Does Movies, and pick up one of these Adam Does Movies Halloween tees. It's got Jason on the cover there on the logo, a little Friday the 13th inspiration in time for the holidays. On top of that, maybe think about becoming a Patreon at patreon.com/Adam Does Movies to really help support this one-man band. And that way I can afford to actually put out some candy this year for the trick-or-treaters and not just an empty pumpkin with a sign that says take one only. Implying that some fat little crap took all of them and left right away. Okay, that's all I got. Take care.